Hello and welcome to Backstage with Gallery Theater. I'm Debbie Harmon Ferry and I'm happy to have a guest with me today. I'd like to welcome Beth Sobo Turk. Hi, Beth.
Hello.
Beth, for those who don't yet know you, why don't you tell us a little bit about how long you've been in McMinnville, what brought you here, and maybe what you do when you're not at gallery.
Yeah, sure. We landed in McMinnville in 2016, so really not that long ago for those of you who have been here for 30 plus years, going on our fifth year. And really, we ended up out here because our family was growing. My husband and I were in Portland, loving Portland life, but as our family grew, we wanted more space. We wanted more room for the kids to run and play. And we were in Newburgh for like a hot minute, and then it was McMinnville, and that's how we landed out here. And when I'm not at gallery, I am raising two wonderful rowdy boys who are 5 and 7, and I'm homeschooling them. And for a while, I was working at Valley Commissary, actually, which due to COVID-19 closed permanently, which is super sad. But I have been home with the boys ever since then.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And how did you come to find gallery since you're relatively new to the community?
Yeah, it's really an interesting story, actually. So before I ever even lived in Oregon, I knew about the Gallery Theater because of Ember Eastman, my sister-in-law. I saw my first gallery show in 2008 when she starred as Velma Kelly in Chicago. Um, Again, I didn't live here, but I visited my now husband quite often. He lived here, and I would fly in and I surprised Ember and I saw her on like her closing weekend of the show. And it was like, this is Gallery Theater. This is right. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so great. Being a performer myself, I was in full support of Ember doing all these leading roles. I continued to see her in Honk, Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, White Christmas. And she was always saying, "Come to McMinnville, move to McMinnville." And I was like, "Oh gosh, no, too small for me, too small for me." And then fast forward to 2016, I'm living in McMinnville. And she asked me to sit in on the producers' auditions with her. I also kind of half begged. I said, please let me just, I had babies then. I was like, let me get out and just sit in and watch. And so I got to be a part of the audition process for the producers. And then that turned into an opportunity to do the headshots and the poster photography for that show because I'm do photography on the side. And that was my first real involvement with gallery was 2016's producers. Again, I was exposed in 2008. That was my first time going to gallery, but not involved until 2016.
Wonderful. And you said you were a performer yourself. So before you ever found gallery, you were performing elsewhere. What kinds of things did you do and where?
Gosh, whole reason I came out to Oregon at all and met my husband was because I was singing on the Columbia River paddle wheel cruise ships. That was my first cruise ship gig. I grew up in Buffalo, New York, went to school in Virginia, and I had my first professional theater job in Tennessee in 2006. And then, that just, you're networking, you're going to big Southeastern Theater Conference auditions. I got a national tour out of New York City doing Jesus Christ Superstar with Ted Neely. I did a show at the Rubicon in Ventura, California. I got my equity card doing Gracie and the Atom in Portland at Artist Repertory Theater. I've kind of worked that scene a little bit at Stumptown Stages and Broadway Rose. So I've had a career in theater that I love. I love. And then came the season of raising kids, and so I had a long break. And then McMinnville entered my life, and I thought, there's a community theater here. Maybe I can have the best of both worlds while I'm here.
Wonderful. And you started, as you said, kind of helping Ember, and you did some photography and you did poster design, but you have been on stage at gallery as well. So
I
what
have.
are some roles that people might recognize you from?
I've only done two full production shows actually at gallery. I'm really a newbie, but my very first one was 2018's The God Game. That was a big year for gallery. I did a lot with gallery that year. The first show I did was The God Game in the role of Lisa with Steve Cox and Lance Nutman. And then one full year later, I played Belle in Beauty and the Beast.
Both of those were fantastic productions and won tons of awards at Gallery and won awards elsewhere. And we're so fortunate that you shared your talent with us. We're
Oh,
so
I was
lucky to have
honored.
you. And I know you said you've only been in two full-scale productions, but you have lent your talents to many other things. And I'm thinking in particular of the cabarets that we've done a few times. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, yeah, the very first. So that's funny because before I ever actually did a full production show, I had done a cabaret. Nobody knew who I was. Jennifer Dolphin was directing that one, and I met her at the producer's audition, and she pulled me in to do the cabaret. It was a Valentine's cabaret at Youngberg Hill. So that was my first, like, here I am. Let me sing a song for you. And then after that, I've done the quarantine cabaret, which was last spring and summer, all of us virtually putting up songs online. I think I did like 12 to 15 songs for that, I think, just over the course of several months. And then this last Christmas, I helped direct the 12 Days of Christmas, which was like a cabaret production as well, virtually from home. Yes.
Right. And folks, if you have not seen those, if there's still a way to find them online, they're so worth seeing. Just wonderful showcasing talents and finding ways to be creative during what's been a really rough and challenging time for artists and performers, and those of us who love to watch artists and performers. So, um,
Yeah.
do you have any favorite songs of any of those that you've done?
Of any of the cabarets or anything, the shows at gallery or the
Well,
cabarets?
either, either.
Okay. I had a really good time singing from Waitress. I spent a lot of time baking last summer. It was my first year in this new house that we bought. It was our first summer. It was our first garden on this property. And so I was pulling in produce. I have like 21 fruit trees. And so I was like learning how to jam for the first time and can. And I love the musical Waitress. I really connect with that character, Jenna. And there's this song called What Baking Can Do. And I mean, it was literally the life I was living. I mean, in my apron, flour everywhere, baking pie after pie after pie, perfecting my art of making pie. And so I just remember being like, I have to sing this song. And it just felt so right at home to put that song up.
That's great. Now, and as you mentioned that, and I'm envisioning you with the flower everywhere in the apron, I'm reminded that also during the quarantine, you did a couple of the courtyard shows or scenes, didn't you? Tell me a
Yes,
little
yes,
bit about
yes.
that.
That's right. Yeah, Gallery did Thursdays in the Courtyard last summer as a way of performing outside safely, socially distanced. And I don't know whose idea, I think it was Carolyn McCloskey's great idea to put up some one acts. And so I got cast in The Lives of the Great Waitresses. And I was not familiar with that play beforehand, but it's a few really great monologues in there between four women working at a diner. And I really, really enjoyed putting that up. And then we also did a cabaret, I forgot, in the courtyard as well.
Great.
So, yeah.
Neat way to showcase talent in some sort of unusual surroundings, I guess.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
It-
we can do that kind of thing again. Maybe we'll even do it if we don't have COVID to work around.
yes. Yeah. I think that gallery has done an amazing job adapting and having things to offer the community. And I think the talent that they have has really risen to the occasion and been like, yes, how can I do this in whatever capacity to not only it's fulfilling for us, but also to, give something back to the community. I think it's been an incredible journey. As much as it's been a bummer, we have definitely fought to find the silver lining for sure.
Now, as you talk about giving back to the community, I'm reminded when you were talking about the 12 days of Christmas that you did. Um, it was sort of a fundraiser for gallery, but it was also a way to support community and local businesses. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think some of that was your idea.
Yeah, actually, the whole thing was my idea because in November, well, I'll say this. It was not I did not birth the idea. My best friend lives in Washington, D.C. She's very involved in the theater community there. And a community theater of hers for Thanksgiving said, "Let's do a cabaret where we showcase two singers every night the whole month of November and focus on our gratitudes. And every night we'll say what we're thankful for." I reached out to Seth. I was like, Seth, gallery could totally do something like this. But it was already like a week and a half to Thanksgiving. And I was like, we're not going to do it in time for Thanksgiving. What if we did something for Christmas? What if we do like the 12 days of Christmas? And Seth and I collaborated back and forth. He loved the idea. And really, there was no fundraiser attached to it. It was just, let's do another cabaret, another show. But of course, I love a good raffle, so I can't not be thinking, how can we raise money for this theater? But then also, while thinking that, I was like, there is absolutely no way I can ask this community to donate anything right now. This is a really hard time for McMinnville and, well, everywhere, all these small businesses. And typically, you'd say, hey, you want to donate a gift card to Gallery Theater? We're going to raffle it off. And there was just no way I could do that. So I thought, what if we asked a few members of the theater to donate something? I was like, surely we'll get like a little dinner gift card or something to the bookstore. And I was like, we'll just raffle off just a little something. Well, everybody's generosity just skyrocketed, and we raised $1,500 worth of giveaways from members of the theater community going into McMinnville and buying up, gift cards to every stop on the way on 3rd Street, which was it was just so mind-blowing and so heartwarming to see everybody pull together. And it was just this simultaneous win-win. It was a way to give back to the community and raise money for the gallery. And it really took off. And I was so happy. I was just so happy to see it be a success.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for all of that, for the work, for the idea, for all of that.
Yeah.
That was neat to see the way that all came together. And it reminds me that wasn't the first time that you did a raffle either, because I don't want to undersell Beth as a performer because she is amazing. She's one of our most talented performers. If you haven't seen her, do whatever you can to see her perform. It is so worth it. But she also does other things that help support and build gallery. And I'm thinking of the 50th anniversary celebration and the role you played there. Can you tell
Yeah,
us about
that
that?
was, yeah, I was super excited to be a part of that. What's funny is that actually was born from the Valentine's Cabaret at Youngberg Hill, where I also did raffles because Jen Dolphin at the last minute was like, well, maybe we could raffle something off at this. So Ember and I, hit 3rd Street and gathered up all these gift cards, and it was a success. We had a great spread at this Valentine's Cabaret. And so then fast forward to that summer, it was the big 50th, and Seth, I think it was your committee. I think I joined your committee to plan for the 50th gala. And you said, Beth, do you want to do raffles? And I was like, yes, I would. And so we just did it again, but we did it bigger. We did it bigger, and everybody in the community was very happy to donate to Gallery Theater's celebration. 50 years. I mean, 50 years for a community theater to not just still be alive, but to be thriving and to still be giving back and to still be doing amazing work is something to be proud of. And I think that all the restaurants and bars and bookstores and shops were like, yes, it was like an instantaneous, let me celebrate with you. So that was also a really great success. It was fun.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, you are so important to this theater and you mean so much to us and you contribute in so many different ways and we are so grateful that you and your husband did choose to settle here. And I'm thinking of all this that you're doing when you talk about, you have a photography business on the side and you perform other places and you're homeschooling 2 boys. How do you make that work when there's time to perform at gallery? How do you cobble that together? If
Yeah.
there's a mom out there thinking, man, I would really like to do that someday, but I can't see how I could pull that off.
I think that's such a good question. I think everybody's own definition of balance is different. And that year, 2018, was a really busy year. And in hindsight, I'm like, that was a lot. That was probably too much. And since then, I feel like you're always just learning what that right balance of home life. And I mean, when you're a performer with a family, you're always trying to figure that out. Like, what is too much time away from my kids? What's just enough time to be feeding my own soul and making me a better person, and I'm still on that journey to figuring it out. I have a wonderful, supportive husband, and if I do one show a year, I'm thrilled. I'm thankful, and I feel like in this season, that probably still sounds about right. Having 5 and 7-year-old, if I get to do one show, I'm so happy. I have supportive grandparents who are here with the boys when I'm going to rehearsal. But I mean, I used to do back-to-back shows, show after show after show after show before kids, before, and that's just, I won't be doing that again for a while. But it's just nice to know that it's there when there's that window of time, when there is that window of opportunity.
Different
So
season of life. There you
different
go.
seasons of life, yeah.
Another year or two, I could see having a couple of them at the drama camp. I'm telling you right now.
Yes, I think my little Rowan would be there in a heartbeat. Yes.
Absolutely. Um, so you do once in a while you're able to make time, which is great. It's not without challenges. It's challenging, but you make time. What would you say is the most rewarding part of being a part of the gallery?
I mean, it's twofold. I think it's the joy of doing what you feel like you were born to do. It's the joy of having somewhere to perform, to share the talent. For me, it is a huge passion. Performing, storytelling, telling stories on stage. The responsibility of that, of getting up and have, I don't know, just being gifted that ability to tell that story. You're the one telling it. I mean, that is very fulfilling. That is very rewarding at the end of the day. But then on top of that, you gain a community, you gain a family of people that, I mean, they really, I mean, you've heard it said, I'm sure, a million times, but theater people become family very quickly because you're spending so much time together in a condensed window of time every day, 5 to 6 nights a week. You're practically living together at the theater. And so you get to know each other very quickly. And, you build really deep friendships over a short amount of time. So I'm really I mean, that's rewarding for me, is to find community and friendship. Absolutely.
Completely agree with you. And I
Yeah,
miss that we're not in person right now. I mean, I've loved the way that gallery people have supported each other in this pandemic in lots of different ways. And I see it on social media and I hear about it in different ways, but I do miss the 5 nights a week hanging out in the theater.
I know.
We'll get back there. We'll get back there.
We will.
How about kind of a last thought is if there is somebody out there that maybe has come to the theater to see a show or two and considered being involved but not yet done it, what advice would you have for them or what would you tell them?
Hmm. I could see someone being like, well, I want to be involved, but I don't know how. I don't know what my role is. I don't know where I fit. And I mean, it's hard with COVID right now, but I mean, my advice would be just show up. And maybe showing up is on social media. Maybe it's getting virtually involved right now as we adapt to the times we're living in. But I think just show up and you will find your place. Like you'll just find it. You'll meet somebody, you'll make a friend, you'll gain a relationship which will network over here, and then you're just going to settle into something that makes you happy and caters to your talents. There's so many different ways that you can be involved, so many, that I would say don't wait to figure out what it is first. Don't try to be like, well, I got to figure out what I want to do first. Just show up. Just show up to something and you'll find it.
Great advice. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Beth, for your time today. Thank you for sharing a little bit about yourself and your story and your family. And thank you for sharing your talents with Gallery. We are so very, very lucky to have you as part of the family and look forward to the day where we can showcase you again.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, great.